All right. Lexi. Okay. Lynn, Dominic, Grace, Michael, let's see, Jesus. Okay. So we are live and we are going to go over our primary sources. There is nothing on the board behind me. This is all going to be a pure discussion. Better stop. Okay. So do you guys remember what I said was the number one thing that was missed on our primary sources? What was the number one thing that was missed on our primary sources? Oof. Hey, back table. Focus. Okay. It was the title. The title of the source. Okay, this page is worth 10 points. You've got to make sure you're putting the source title on there so I know which one you are talking about. So we are on page 31. Our first primary source is we are going to be talking about that state constitution of Louisiana that was in 1898. So this is the one that adds the property requirements, property ownership, the grandfather clause, and the literacy test, right? So this is adding to our Jim Crow laws over here. And this is the Constitution that took our voters from 130,000 to 5,320. All right. So the source title is State Constitution of Louisiana, 1898. Okay. And what kind of source is it? Huh? Not an article. What kind of source is it? What are you writing in? Yeah, close those up. That doesn't have nothing to do with my class. What kind of source is this? Source title or source title? Hey, guys. Hey, everybody look at me. Okay? Y'all need to wake up. You need to wake up. Okay? Because a lot of you didn't get no points for any of this. Okay. It is not a speech. It is a constitution. It is a constitution. Michael, where's your book? Okay, is that it? Maybe. Okay. Okay. The type is a constitution. Okay. We are going to read a section of the Constitution that describes the required qualifications for voting under the 1898 Louisiana Constitution. So the first thing that you should be looking out for is a sentence on here with original words and then something you can translate into your own words. So you're going to write something that is pointed out that you're like, oh, okay, I think I know what this means in words from 2026. So it starts with Article 197. Okay. And it says Section 3, he shall be able to read and write and shall demonstrate his ability to do so when he applies for registration by making under oath administered by the registration officer or his deputy, written application, therefore, in the English language or in his mother tongue. Section 4, if he be not able to read and write, then he shall be entitled to register and vote if he shall, at the time he offers to register, be the bona fide owner of property assessed to him in this state at a valuation of not less than $300, and on which, if such property be personal only, all taxes due shall have been paid. Section 5. No male person who was on January 1st, 1867, or any date prior to entitled to vote under the Constitution or statutes of any state of the United States wherein he then resided, and no son or grandson of any such person not less than 21 years of age at the date of the adoption of the Constitution, and no male person of foreign birth who was naturalized prior to the first day of January 1898 shall be denied the right to register and vote in this state by reasons of his failure to possess the educational or property qualifications prescribed by this Constitution. Don't worry, we will translate that because that was a lot. Article 198. No person less than 60 years of age shall be permitted to vote at any election in the state who shall not, in addition to the qualifications above prescribed, have paid on or before the 31st date of December of each year for 2 years preceding the year in which he offers to vote, a poll tax of $1 per annum to be used exclusively in aid of the public schools of the parish in which such tax shall have been collected. All right. So let's go back and translate this. I'm not sure why you're looking at the board. The board doesn't have anything to do with what we're doing today. We are on primary sources on page 31 in your book. Michael, you are in book 2, chapter 1. This is why you needed to tab your historical journal. We are on the primary sources. Stop, stop, stop. You are in book 2, chapter 1. You listen. You are in book 2, chapter 1. That is not where we are at. We are in book 1, chapter 2, primary sources. Keep going until you get to the primary sources. Keep going. Okay, that is the primary source page. So you need to be filling that out, and you need to have your book open to page 31. All right. So let's translate this. Section 3. He says that the person who is voting needs to be able to read and write. And he has to do so when he comes to register to vote. Okay? So before they are even allowing anybody to register to vote, they have to show that they can read and write. And they have to take an oath. Okay? You have to take an oath that says that you can read or write, plus do a written application. Okay, so even before you can even vote and you go and register, which we register to vote these days, okay, you will have to prove that you can read and write. This is that literacy test part. Okay, but they give you a caveat. They say, okay, section 4, if you can't read or write, there's an alternative. Okay, you can register if you can prove that you own property, but the property has to be worth more than $300. Okay? $300. Now let's do this. Okay? Let's find out how much $300 in 1898 was compared to today. How much is $300 in 1898 worth today in 2026? All right, let's see. All right, so roughly today, $300 would be worth $12,000 today. Okay, so you had to prove, let's say, hey, I can't read and write, but I own some property. Okay, is your property worth more than $12,000? Because if it is, you can vote. But they're also going to check and make sure all your taxes have been paid. Okay, so it wasn't just do you own property. Your property has to be worth something, and you have to make sure that all the taxes are paid. If the taxes are not paid, you don't get to vote. Okay? So we are knocking people down left and right. Okay. Now this one is complicated. This one is complicated. So January 1st of 1867, okay, this is a date before African Americans get the vote, before we get our amendments, okay? So this section 5 is our grandfather clause, all right? So this means that a poor and illiterate white man who may not own property or may not be able to pass the test can vote. And so if you are a male, or if you are a male who was alive January 1st, 1867, and you resided in the United States, okay, you are not less than 21 years old at the adoption of this Constitution, okay? So you have to be 21 years or older at 1898. You can't be foreign born, okay? And you can't be foreign born and naturalized, so become a citizen before 1898, okay? As long as you are a son or a grandson of a person that doesn't hit those things. And I know it's quite complicated. The only way to easily translate this is if your grandfather was white and free before January 1st, 1867, then you don't need to worry about being literate, and you don't need to worry about owning taxes or paying property tax and owning property. It's basically saying you needed to be a free person who was born here, not of a foreign birth. All right? But a lot of that gets very convoluted when you try to translate it. The best way we can just say it is, okay, if you're white, you can't read, you don't have any money, you're allowed to vote. Okay. Then it says no person younger than 60. So if you are 59 or younger, you are not going to be allowed to vote, even if you hit all of those conditions. You're not going to be able to vote unless you've paid for 2 years of voting, and that's $1 per year. How much do you guys think $1 was back then? $1 back then is worth $40 today. So this is like them saying you needed to pay $80 up front. So whether, let's say you are an African American and you walk in and you're like, yep, guess what? I can read, I can write, I own property that is $12,000 or more. I've already paid my taxes. They are still going to look at you and go, you need to pay $80 to vote. So right now, do you own property? Then why are you even talking to me? You can't vote. Then you definitely can if you don't own property. That's what it's saying is even if you walked up in there and you said, here's my $80, I'm cool. Look I got it on Cash App right now. Ms. Bethel, look at my Cash App. I got $80. Okay, you own property? No, you don't. Okay. In 1898, probably one of the guys we're going to talk about in the next book. All right. So that's a lot. That's a lot to have to do. All right. So at this point, take a look. I would probably say that a sentence in section 3 or section 4 is probably going to be the easiest ones to translate. Do not pick a sentence out of section 5 to try to translate that. Okay? Because that sucker is a pain for me to try to translate that and make that understand. Okay? So in our original words, write a sentence from the source that sounds important. So you need to pick a sentence, and then you need to rewrite that in your words. Nate, we are on primary sources. We are not on whatever section you're working on right now. We are not on that section right now. You can do that on your own time. We are on primary sources. Then you stick with me, because you have no idea if anything that you wrote was correct. Yes. That's the publishing company. That is the publishing company. Okay. So let's look at all the boxes here in your primary sources. Okay. Let's look at context. It is 1898. What is going on in history at the time that this is written? Okay. What do you think? Go ahead, Nate. Tell us what is going on at the time this was written. Okay, hey, the chatter, I can't hear him. Okay, Miss Bethel's ADHD, one ear's listening over here, one's listening over here. Okay, Nate, do me a favor. Okay, put your arm down because it's blocking your voice. Speak a little bit louder for me and say that answer.
The Louisiana Constitution of 1898 stands as a pivotal and
Okay, I'm concerned that you can't read the vocabulary words that you wrote, so I'm not real sure where you got these answers. Okay? All right. What is happening in history in Louisiana while they're writing this? Tell me. Toby. Okay. So here's the issue right now with what you guys are doing. Okay. You're not thinking outside the box that I need you to do. Okay. I'm not asking you to tell me about what's going on in this source. I'm asking you what is going on in the state of Louisiana that is making people write this source. Okay. We've got to talk about what is going on historically around us, then what is making them write it, and then tell me. Okay, we've got segregation, right? We've got racism, discrimination, okay? What they're doing is, who are they trying to stop from voting?
Us.
Who's us?
The black people.
Okay.
The Native Americans.
Why?
Because they didn't have land.
Okay. Because they didn't want you guys to have a voice? Because they didn't want African Americans to be able to take political power? That is your context, okay? All right. All right. So remember, our context is we are talking about what is actually going on in the world. All right. So that's what you need to be looking for. Okay. Your context answer is not going to be found in the source. It's going to be found in what we've talked about that's causing this to be created. So I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds to go ahead and fix that answer and write the correct answer. Okay. All right. Let's talk about credibility. Your credibility box says who created it and can we trust them? Okay. So, who created this Constitution? Okay. Nate, who created it? Who creates constitutions? Okay, the government. Now, if this is the Louisiana Constitution, then who creates the Louisiana Constitution? Yes.
The Louisiana government.
Yes, the Louisiana senators and legislation. Okay? Because there's a state senate and a state legislator. So, absolutely, they get together and they are creating this new constitution. Very good. Very good. All right. Now, do we trust them? Okay. So why not? Why do we not? I don't care. You're gonna have to figure. I don't know. But that doesn't matter right now because we're working on primary source. Okay. You don't have to fix that. You're worrying about something that don't matter right now. Okay. Okay. Why can we not trust the Louisiana government? Okay. Nate.
They're creating
Nope. Nope. That doesn't have anything to do with it. Why are we not trusting them? They're promoting racism. Okay. So right now, these guys are sitting in this building and they're literally greedy. They don't want African Americans to have any job in the government. And then we're supposed to trust them. Okay. Now listen, us today, no, we are not trusting these guys. Okay. Because what they're showing is, it's not that what they're writing is wrong. And what I mean that is, I don't mean that what they're writing is not racist. That's 100% true. We know that this is absolutely what they wrote. And we know this is absolutely what is going on because it's the law. But do we trust their ideas of what law is? No, because it's racist and it's discriminatory. Okay, now let's talk about cooperation. Remember, this is what other people are saying, what other people are believing. Okay. So, do you know anybody else in history that believes, have we talked about anybody else that believes in the exact same thing that these guys believe in? Other white Southerners? Yep. Okay. Who else? Who else believes the same thing? Who else? This is in Louisiana, right? And other white Southerners. So we know that Louisiana, the whites in Louisiana believe this. What about outside of Louisiana? Other Southern states. They're making new constitutions too, right? Okay, so it's not just our legislative who's a bunch of idiots. It's a whole bunch of Southern legislators who are idiots, all right? Okay, now this one's going to be a little interesting. We talked about what is going on. We talked about segregation, discrimination, okay? Hatred for African Americans. But it's not just hatred that is going to cause them to create this. They hated him for a long time, right? Native Americans is not the first time Native Americans who have been hated. But why? What is going on that the government feels they need to put more restrictive measures on? Okay. Why are the white people threatened by African Americans? Yes.
Because they think that the white people are more superior over the blacks. So
Okay.
the blacks have to be like, they're like not good.
Okay. That is partly true.
So they're like,
Okay. But why are we trying to reduce African Americans from voting? Why are we trying to stop them? What was happening before we put all these measures in? Remember, we mentioned this yesterday when we were talking about what we learned at the end of last year. What was happening in government? What's up? What you think, Toby? Okay, but there's a reason for it. They got intimidated by something that was happening in our government. We started to see Okay. African Americans were getting voted into positions. We had a lieutenant governor, we had a governor, we had senators, we had mayors, we had judges. Okay, they were getting political power. And that scared the white Southerners. Why should the white Southerners have been maybe a little afraid?
Because the African Americans could have just promoted segregation on whites.
Okay, we could have flipped the tables, right? Some of these guys who were getting power and running for places, maybe they were slaves under some of these guys. So that's a little scary for them, right? I mean, if I had enslaved all of y'all and then you guys got free and then you guys could start making the rules, wouldn't that be a little scary on my part?
Yeah.
So I might want to start changing some things, right? Okay, yes.
Don't worry, I'll never put any harsh terms.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so let's take a look at our close reading. All right, this is where we go through and we try to see if there's any words or phrases that maybe stick out that say, okay, these are pretty important to this document. So I am going to point one out that I think is pretty important. And I think it's interesting that they put in there bona fide owner. Bona fide owner. Okay. That is that somehow you can be 100% legally proven to be the owner. Okay. No. So that means that there's a possibility that you could think that you own some land. Okay. Maybe your grandfather or somebody said, hey, I'm going to give you this plot. It's your land. You've been living on it, but maybe it never went through the government. Maybe that person didn't put in the paperwork. So I see that bona fide and I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? They're wanting to make sure that maybe your daddy gave you land, but he died and you're like, well, it's my land. He was my dad. I inherited it. But if it never went through the legal processes to be in your name, then you are not the bona fide owner. Therefore, you don't get it. So that is something that sticks out to me. Okay. You guys will need to go through and find something else. If you only put bona fide owner in there, okay, I'm marking points off because you're not doing enough. Okay. Now, on the extended response, I'm not going to talk with you about that. You guys get to do that on your own. Make sure that you are restating the question, and I'm not talking about the whole thing. Okay? You might want to pick government on this one, where it says this source tells us about the government in early America because this. All right? That's how you will start it, and you will tell me what it says. Now we're going to do our second primary source. And our second primary source is literally like 3 sentences. Everybody's in the same. Everybody's the same. 7th grade is doing primary sources tomorrow. So I will explain to you guys the what we're gonna do next week or how this is gonna work. All right. So primary source number 2. What is the title? Okay. 1896. Of course, man, you trying to push us into the 1900s, man. We not there yet. Next book.
What did I say?
1986. Okay. So the title is Justice Harlan's Dissent in Plessy versus Ferguson. And can anybody tell me what this is?
This is a court case.
It is correct. This is a court case. Good job. How do we know it's a court case? What's a really good indicator that lets us know? Caden, tell me.
Justice Harlan, is that just has justice in the name?
Okay, that's not the surefire way. What you think?
Plessy versus Ferguson.
Okay, the name versus a name. That's always going to tell you it's a court case. Okay? Anything that we talk about that has something, v something, that's going to be a court case. Okay. So this says, in view of the Constitution, in the eyes of the law, there is in this country no superior dominant ruling class of citizens. There is no caste here. Our Constitution is colorblind and neither knows nor tolerates classes among citizens. In respect of civil rights, all citizens are equal before the law. The humblest is the peer of the most powerful. The law regarding man as man and takes no account of his surroundings or of his color when his civil rights as guaranteed by the supreme law of the land are involved. In my opinion, the judgment this day rendered will, in time, prove to be quite as pernicious as the decision made by this tribunal in the Dred Scott case. Okay. So just so we are aware, Justice Harlan is not happy about what happened in Plessy versus Ferguson. All right. Somebody remind me, because you know I'm going to ask you, what happened in Plessy versus Ferguson? Yes.
Plessy sat in the white car.
Okay.
He was black.
Okay. Plessy sat in the white car when he was black. He gets arrested. Then what happens?
He was in the court. And
Okay. He goes to court about it because he's arrested. And then what?
Judge Ferguson said something, and I don't know what it was, but Plessy's attorney, I think, said it was constitutional, and it got rid.
Okay, so Judge Ferguson says absolutely you are in violation of the law. Okay, and Louisiana's law is segregation is legal if it is separate but equal. Okay, Plessy's lawyer says that this whole thing is unconstitutional. Judge Ferguson says nope, you are in violation. Okay, you are a criminal. Plessy's lawyer takes it all the way to the Supreme Court because he says the whole law of separation but equal that's unconstitutional. Okay. We are all supposed to be equal. That's what our Constitution says, that, you know, we're all supposed to have the same rights, liberties, and pursuit of happiness. So this whole separate thing is ridiculous. It doesn't match the Constitution. Goes up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court decides in Plessy versus Ferguson that yes, segregation is legal if and only if you've been in my class now. You just walked up here and interrupted me when I'm talking. Okay. Segregation is legal if and only if the two areas are separate but equal. They have to be equal. All right. And as we've talked about, are they equal? Depends on how you look at it, right? If my restaurant has tables and chairs and everybody has tables and chairs and they get to eat the same, okay? Does it matter if the tables are made out of wood or if they are made out of plastic? They're still tables, right? Well, are the wood ones more sturdy? Okay, are the wood ones maybe nicer? Are the wood ones white? For the whites? Sure. The plastic creaky ones, okay? That's in the back of the restaurant. Doesn't matter though, right? Everybody's got tables and chairs. It doesn't mean it's equal. Okay, the definition of equal definitely comes into play here. So Justice Harlan, when he gives his dissent, which means his disagreement, he says the Constitution and the law in this country, no person, no class, no color, no person is more dominant than the other. Okay? It gives us that. There is no one is better than another person. No one is richer or more important than another person. Our Constitution is colorblind. It means our Constitution sees no color whatsoever. We don't tolerate classes. Nobody's better than another. All civil rights are equal before the law, no matter what.
She is done. And he made sure I had the right test before he started.
Okay, fantastic.
And he wrote all that.
Okay, perfect.
He goes, you got the right one this time. I said, dude, that wasn't my fault. But he's done it.
Okay, perfect. All right, listen.
You need me, let me know.
Thank you. Listen. I'm still hearing chatter. The humblest, the lowest of people is the same as the most powerful. Okay? He says the law regards man as man. He takes no account of the things around him. The law doesn't care where he lives. The law doesn't care of his color, because he is guaranteed civil rights by the most powerful law of the land. And then he says this, and I don't know, maybe you guys remember Dred Scott from last year. Okay? Maybe you remember Dred. I don't know why you're looking at me with crazy eyebrows. You weren't even here. So I don't know. I don't know if you learned it or not. Okay? You was doing that computer school. I don't know. Oh, well, Dred Scott. Listen, Dred Scott was the court case where the African American who was a slave. Hey, Dred Scott traveled around with his owner who was a doctor. He traveled into free states and into slave states. The owner passes away in a free state. So Dred Scott believes, I'm free. The daughter of the man sues Dred Scott and says, you are not free. You were property of my father. I inherited his property. Therefore, you are not free. You are still property to me. And the Supreme Court agreed and told him that he was not free and made him go back to servitude under his daughter. Okay, that was a horrible ruling. And Judge Harlan says, all of you judges that sit here with me today, you have made a ruling in this case that is just as bad as the ruling they made in Dred Scott. And you will find out. Time will prove that you made a horrendous decision in Plessy versus Ferguson. Okay? So you should be looking out for a sentence in his dissent that you can translate into your own words. Okay? What? Okay. Original words, write something from the source that you can now translate. Okay, so you want to put it in your own words. All right, 1896. What is happening at the time this is written? Do you think this is any different than the Louisiana Constitution context? Okay. So what did we put in the context there? What is in the context of the box of source one? I can't hear you.
There was
Segregation, racism, and discrimination. Guys, if you can't answer that question, then that means you didn't write anything in that box. And that's concerning because I gave you all the answers, basically all the answers. So if you didn't write anything down and your primary source one is empty, you've got a problem. All right. Credibility. Who wrote this? Ryan, you are not allowed to answer anymore.
Okay, so Ronnie, I'm gonna be just like that. My turn.
Okay. Not that you're in trouble. Okay. Because you're not. Okay. I'm looking for some new voices, just some of y'all who maybe, okay, don't have anything written down. Okay, so who created it? Ryan just told us Justice Harlan. Michael, can we trust him? Huh? We can't trust him? Why? Why can we not trust him? Why can we not trust Justice Harlan? Why are you asking me that question? Was he? He was racist? Maybe we need to pay attention. Is he? Can we trust Justice Harlan?
No. Why can't you trust him? Why? Tell me why can't you trust him?
All right, Toby, come on. Okay, Toby says we can trust him. Why is it that we can trust him? Toby, don't listen to Cortavion. Why can we trust him? Huh? He wants to make stuff equal? Okay, what'd you say before that? Because he's not racist? How do we know that? How do we know he's not racist? Yes, Caden.
We know he's not racist because he wanted who's the black guy again?
Plessy.
Plessy to win the court case.
He wanted Plessy to win the court case. What is a dissent? It's disagreeing with the court case. Justice Harlan has literally said, you guys made a stupid decision. Okay? All right. Have you learned in our book about anybody who disagreed, or I'm sorry, who feels the same that Justice Harlan feels? That segregation is bad. Who have we talked about that maybe also agrees? Yes.
Jim Crow?
Huh?
Jim Crow?
No, Jim Crow laws are pretty bad. Who is going to agree with Justice Harlan that maybe this separate but equal is not good? Is the white people going to agree with it? No. No. How about black people? Are the African Americans going to agree with him?
No. Yes.
Yes. Why?
I ain't passing these shirts.
Why are African Americans going to agree with Justice Harlan? Yes. Because they're not being treated well. He's literally saying this separate but equal segregation should be illegal. This is the worst thing. And of course, African Americans are going to agree with him and go, you're right. It is bad. Okay. Why is it that Justice Harlan would have to write a disagreeing paper? Why? It's asking cause and effect. What causes the source to be created? Why is Justice Harlan writing a disagreement? What happened that made him write this? What's up?
Supreme Court allows segregation.
Exactly right. Because the Supreme Court decided that Plessy versus Ferguson was legal, therefore segregation was legal. All right. And then close reading. What words or phrases stand out? Okay. And in my mind, okay, colorblind. Colorblind is a big word in here. I think that's very important
That's what.
to being able to understand what
You're
Justin.
talking about close reading, what word first stand out? Colorblind, well, I ain't gonna say too much, but because he's looking at my journal, to write what I say.
Okay, why would colorblind be important? If somebody were to say, "Hey, I think you're racist," and you say, "No, man, I'm colorblind," what does that mean?
Because all skin colors are equal.
Because you're not looking at skin color, right?
Yeah, you're racist.
You're not paying attention to what the skin color is on somebody. And like, wow, I'm colorblind. Okay, that stuff doesn't matter to me. I don't see that in a person. Okay, so using the source for extended response. Okay, what is this source going to tell us about life, people, or government in early America? If I were you, I might write my extended response on what this tells us about the people of early America. What does this tell us about the people who are living here? Even though that Justice Harlan is in the government, okay? Maybe what does this tell us if they are agreeing that separate but equal is going to be allowed? Okay. Tomorrow is review day. Tomorrow is a whole day in class where if you have any questions, anything that you are missing in your journal, you can come up and talk with me about. You can also go ahead and work on your chapter reflection, which is re-answering the framing question and doing the vocabulary. Monday is your test. Monday is the test. So your journals are due on Monday. Okay? Journals are due on Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday is in class essay days. You will be working with a partner to fill out your essay sentences. And then on Thursday is when you will write your essay in the Chromebook. So if you have not gotten into your Google Classroom, like I have been telling you for 2.5 weeks, and I went in there and invited you into the classroom, you need to get into there ASAP. Listen to me. If you come into my class and I give you a Chromebook and you look at me and go, I don't know how to log in, I'm going to give you an F. Straight up. I'm going to give you an F. Okay?